What's up, guys? I'm Tim. This is New Craft Workshop. You guys ready for some more holiday builds? Because I'm ready, so let's go. All right, guys, it's time for another holiday builds. It is November 18th, so I have about 3 more weeks to get you guys some holiday projects before it's too late. Today, I've got 3 more really cool DIY friendly projects that you can knock out in your shop in about an hour or so each. We're gonna be using a table saw today, which we very seldom use on this, but if you don't have a table saw, I will offer you some alternative ways to get that one particular project done. But if you have a table saw, it's going to turn out so much nicer. So if you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time joining us, I truly appreciate it. And real quick, before we get started on our first build, go ahead and click that like button. Give us a thumbs up for our video today. We really put in some hard work out in this hot, humid November Houston weather for you guys. And a simple thumbs up goes a long way. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And most importantly, when this video is over, go down and leave us a comment. So enough talk, let's build. All right, let's get after it with project 1. So this cool little Santa Claus that I just showed you. Now the photo that you saw, I am not going to lie to you.
What I don't want you to do is lie to us. Because if you do, things could get very bad for you. Do you understand me?
That's not my decorated version. That's one I pulled off the internet. Mrs. Newcraft is not available today. Prior to me editing and posting this video, and I don't do any of the decorating. I build it, she decorates it, but I'm going to show you the process to build it so yours can look just like that when you decorate it. This is going to be a really simple build. We're going to pop up, as always, a cut list and a tools list. This one's going to go really quick, so let's get started with our cut list. We're going to need a 1x4. We're going to cut that to 12 inches long. We're then going to make that into a triangle. I'll show you how to cut that angle on your miter saw or your table saw, or if you prefer to just use a hand saw, you're welcome to do that as well. We're going to need 2 dowels. Dowel rods are personal preference. I'm using 3/8 inch dowel. We're going to need 2 pieces, about 6 inches long a piece. And then for our base, we're going to need another piece of that 1x4 that is going to be cut at 6 inches long. That's it, easy. That's your cut list. Let's head over here to our tool list. You're going to need a saw to get everything cut to length and dimension. You're going to need your drill with a Forstner bit that matches the diameter of the dowel rod you're using. And you're going to need some wood glue. And that's literally it. So let's get right into this first project. This is going to be the easiest one we do today, so let's go. All right, here's our 1x4, 12 inches long. Clearly this is not a 1x4, it's plywood, but it is what it is. We're going to draw a line from 1/4. It doesn't matter which corner this is. I'm just going to pick this corner. We're going to draw it from that corner to the opposing corner. We're actually going to be able to get 2 of these Santas out of one board, because when we cut this in half, we'll have a Santa here and a Santa here. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, if you look at this triangle, you'll notice that it is not square. We want our triangle to be square. And the way that we do that is we know that this length of this side of this triangle is 12 inches. So we're going to take the opposing side of our triangle and we're going to measure down to the 12-inch mark. We're going to draw a line or a mark right there. And then we're going to connect that mark to this corner. And that is going to square up our base of our Santa / triangle. Anytime you're making a triangle, as long as you know one side's length, you can measure the opposing side's length, connect those 2 marks, and your triangle will always set on your surface perfectly straight up and down. So let's head over to the miter saw and let's get this stuff cut. Now we have a triangle that stands up perfectly straight. This is the easiest way to measure this out whenever you're doing triangles that are equal on these 2, which would be an isosceles triangle. All right, we're back from the saw. We have our pieces cut. We have our triangle. We have our base. We have our 2 dowels. This is going to go extremely quick. Now, If you notice, I have a drill bit and not a Forstner bit. That's because my dowels are actually 5/16 of a diameter, and I don't have a Forstner bit 5/16 of a diameter. So feel free to just use a traditional standard drill bit to drill these holes. And here's what we're gonna do. Oh my God, excuse me for that. So we're gonna take our base and our snowman, I'm sorry, I've said snowman probably more than once in this, our Santa Claus. And we're gonna lay our Santa sideways on our base because we need our holes that are going in here and our holes that are going in here to be lined up pretty much perfectly. This is gonna be the easiest way as a beginner to get this done. So we're just gonna lay this down, and you notice I've kind of centered this in the board here. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is kind of a rustic project. And we're just gonna kind of draw 2 lines. We're gonna hit one on our base, and then we're gonna bring that up onto our bottom of our Santa. So now we know where these holes go in relation to our edges. That way we can make sure that everything is lining up when we put our dowels in. Now, as far as where we're drilling this, we know our marks here. I'm just gonna center this in this board. And as we do a lot of stuff here on New Craft Workshop, I'm eyeballing this. I mean, that's kind of the best way to make a rustic project, is just rough. So we're gonna drill into this. We want to get our holes here as close to the center of this board as we possibly can. So I'm just gonna kind of mark my center right here. So let's drill a couple holes in the bottom of this. Now we can take our dowels, we can drop them in, and of course you're actually gonna glue this because you need this to stay. But we're gonna drop our dowels in. We're gonna drop them in the bottom of our Santa. And as you saw at the beginning when I showed you this picture, when this thing is decorated, this looks like a cool little rustic modern take on a Santa Claus. I'm not boring you with the glue up because you know how to glue stuff. I'm showing you the quick basics things. And then if you've been here before, you know what's coming. You're gonna take this general idea and you're going to make it your own. That means you're gonna take this, you're gonna make it bigger, smaller, shorter, taller. You're gonna dress it up, you're gonna dress it down. You're gonna make it better than I made it today. Make it your own. Let's go, project 2. All right, project 2. This is going to be the tabletop version of a really popular tree that I'm sure you've seen all over Facebook, the internet, everything else. But this is just gonna be a really small version. We're gonna make this out of 1x2 material, and this is gonna be something small enough that you can just pop up on the table, the fireplace mantle, you know, wherever. We're gonna shrink this down a little bit, but we're gonna add one little extra twist that's going to make it our own. So let's get started. All right, for project 2, this cool little tabletop Christmas tree take on, which you've probably seen all over the place already online, but we're making it our own. So here we go. We're gonna start this time with our tool list because I'm gonna have to show you these cuts. It'll be a little more easy as I go through the cut list that way. But tool list, really simple. We're gonna need a saw to cut everything to length. We're gonna need our brad nailer to brad everything, and we are going to need wood glue. That is literally it for our tool list. Now, let's get after the cut list, and I'm actually gonna show you these pieces as I go over them, so hopefully that'll help. All right, so this is our tree, and we're gonna start with our top. Now, our top is at a 45-degree cut angle, and then the bottom of those 2 pieces are at 22.5 degrees. So on one side, we have cut this to 8 inches in length. That is our long side of our top triangle. We take our 8 inches on one side and we have 7 inches on the other. The good thing about cutting a 45-degree angle on a 3/4 inch piece of material means that you have a 1 inch difference in this cut, so you can always shorten this side by 1 inch and get those 2 pieces to line up flush right here. Then we're gonna need 2 more pieces of our tree. These are 22.5 degrees on either end, and as you'll notice, they run parallel with each other. These two top pieces, they run perpendicular. These two pieces, they run parallel. From our short end to our long end is 7.5 inches, and we will need 2 of those, one for either side of our tree. Now, this is where the cut list is going to vary slightly, and this is where it's going to be better to lay this out like I have and measure as opposed to just following a cut list. Depending on how far up you put your side pieces is going to change this length right here. I'm going for about a 1 inch overhang, or a 1 inch, yeah, I guess you would call it an overhang right here. So instead of measuring this, I've got a board with a 22.5 degree angle here, which is matching this. We're just gonna line that up, following this line right here. This is 22.5, and then we're gonna come over to this side, and we're gonna bring our inner cut right here and put a line. And then we're going to head back over to the miter saw and make a cut right here at 22.5 degrees. That's going to allow this board to slide up into our opening as opposed to setting out on the bottom. That's going to keep that end grain hidden by being up in here. We're also going to take, once we make this 22.5 degree cut, this spare piece of wood right here, we're just going to come over from here about 6 inches, and we will make another 22.5 degree cut here, and then this piece will flip over like this and become our base for our tree. Hopefully all of that made sense, but that's why I wanted to show you guys this as opposed to giving you just a cut list. You have your measurements for these 4 pieces. You know how to measure this. Let's go cut this last piece off. All right, so it's assembly time. So we've got our base, we've got our sides. We're ready to get this going. Now, if you are staining this, when you pop this together, you're going to see your brad entry points. It's fine. Just stain over it, putty over it, leave it exposed and rustic looking, however you want to do it. But we are just going to make this a really simple glue up. Just going to put some glue on there and tack our bottom 3 pieces in place first. And we want to start with our bottom 3 pieces first because that's going to tell us exactly where we need to get our top triangle put in. I'll show you in just a second. Let's get these bottom pieces put in place with our brad nailer first. All right, and now this assembly is done, and the reason that we do this first is if we did our top triangle first and then we attached these 2 legs, this piece might not fit perfectly because, again, if we move these pieces too far up or too far down, it changes the length of this piece at the bottom. That's why I'm working from the bottom up. Now I can take this piece, slide it together at the top right here, hold this in place, and then adjust my dimensions here, and that's pretty much how I designed this to go, is about a 1 inch overhang. So let's get this triangle assembled. Same thing, glue and brads, and then we can get the top and bottom components put together. All right, now that these are put together, now it's going to be easier to slide this all together. Hopefully you can see this right here. Again, we don't want this being put in place first because you will be upset if you put this in place first and then that bottom piece is wrong and then you got to go cut more. So a little more glue, a couple more brads, and we can put our base on, and project 2 is wrapped up. All right, let's get our base put on here. And this is completely optional. This tree will totally stand like that. I think by adding this little base to it though, it kind of elevates things, makes it look a little bit nicer. So as we always do, this is going to get centered extremely precise with my eyeballs. A couple brads. Cool little tree is done. Now, how are we going to dress it up? I'll show you. Well, I'm actually going to tell you, and then in the picture that you just saw at the beginning, you already kind of saw it. All that is in the back of this, taking some wrapping paper. I'm going to just lay it across the back, staple it in place, use an X-Acto, cut it off, and when this thing stands up, you've got whatever piece of wrapping paper, however you want to decorate it, behind it. It's a slight little thing like that that really dresses up a simple project like this and allows you to make it your own. Project 2, simple tree, new craft style. Let's get on to project 3. All right, project 3. This is that cool little stacked Christmas tree that's kind of floating around this year, and I'm going to show you how we make it here in our shop. Now, I am going to be making a smaller version. I am going to be doing, I think, 6 levels. You'll see when we get to the process, but you can go as tall as you want with this. There's somebody on Etsy selling theirs with 15 levels on it. It's really pretty, it's expensive, but it looks really nice. But the more height you add to this, you also have to remember the more material you are using, which means the higher the shipping cost if you're selling it, and the more it's gonna weigh. That's what determines the shipping cost anyway. But let's do this same kind of way we did this last tree. I'm not gonna give you a cut list, and I'll show you why when we get over to the table saw, but I will give you a tools list. It's gonna be super simple. You're going to need a table saw. Now, you don't necessarily need a table saw. You could do this on your miter saw. If you have a compound miter saw that has a bevel, you can do this on your miter saw. It's just not going to be as precise unless you just really measure everything out. Take your time. You can do it because we're going to need all of these squares cut at a 30-degree bevel. It's going to be so much easier over at the table saw. But you're going to need that. You're going to need some wood glue. You're going to need your brad nailer, and that's literally it. So that's your tool list. Again, no cut list because we're heading over to the table saw. So let's go get started, and I'll show you, I'll walk you through this thing step by step. Let's go. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to raise our blade up and get everything set up on a 30-degree cut. Now, again, if you're not using a table saw, you can totally do this, but it's going to be a whole lot more difficult on your miter saw. But 30 degrees is going to be our bevel on every single one of our squares. So all right, so I have my saw set up. We've got a 30-degree bevel. My fence is set at 7 inches. Now, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut 2 7-inch squares, 2 6-inch, 5, 4, all the way down to 2 inches. I have my fence set up to 7, so when we cut this, our bevel, of course, is gonna wind up on the bottom, which we're gonna flip that over. I'm gonna cut 2 pieces, all 4 sides at 7 inches. And we're gonna move our fence over to 6, 5, all the way down to 2. Once all of those pieces are cut at our 30-degree bevel, we can get this thing assembled. Now, if you're using a miter saw instead of a table saw, your bevel, of course, is going to be on the top as you cut down. Just make sure that you mark your squares and follow your line as precise as you can. This is rustic, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you really do need your squares to be as square as possible, because rectangles, when you put them on top of each other and rotate them 45 degrees, they're not going to look great if they're not perfectly square. So table saw is the best tool for this. If you don't have one, make it your own. Let's go. All right, we are back from the table saw, and basically this is what we're going to end up with. All of our pieces are nice and beveled, and if, again, you've used your miter saw, as long as your cuts are square, when we put these on and we rotate these at a 45-degree angle, it's going to look nice. If your stuff is rectangular and not square, that's going to create a different reveal on your 3 corners, and it's not going to look as nice, but it's your project. You're gonna make it your own, and if it turns out a little wonky and crooked, and that's what you like, make it your own, do it your way, be happy with it. Never let the lack of tools out in your shop prevent you from attempting to do some really fun projects. I didn't start out with all of this gear in my shop. I've built it over the years, but you can do a whole lot with a whole little. You can do a lot with a little. Hopefully that made sense. You know what I was trying to say. But on this particular thing, this is going to go together extremely easy. I am going to pop a little bit of glue in the center of each one of these layers, not a lot. And then I'm going to center this particular piece on here. The most important part of this, and the easiest way to make sure that we are at a true 45 degree without marking everything out and spending all this time with our rule and our pencil and all that, is just to make sure that these 4 reveals from the board below it are equal and symmetrical. And once they are, we're going to tack this board in place with just 3 or 4 brad nails. Now, we can take this, and as we work up, as long as this next piece is lined up with our piece below it, it's going to form a really symmetrical looking tree. So we can look from above, center this piece equal with the piece below it, work our way up. It's going to give us a nice looking tree. So I'm going to speed this up and knock this whole tree out. I'll be right back. And there it is, the cool little stack Christmas tree that everybody is showing on the interwebs, but no one's really showing you how to make it. So hopefully this video was helpful. There's a couple guys out there that have shown how to make this, but I gave you my take on it today. Again, this right here isn't too terribly heavy, so if you wanted to make this 4 or 5 more stacks, you totally could. Just follow the same thing. We're just basically coming in 1 inch on each level. I went from 7 to 2, start at 2 and go down to 10 inches, make this thing, you know, this tall. They're really cool looking. Once they're painted and decorated, they look really nice. So if you're still here, congratulations, because I'm going to talk to you real quick about this week's drawing. Every time we do one of these videos, there's random letters that pop up. If you've watched this series before, you know that there's random letters that pop up. You're going to unscramble them, then you're going to go down in the comment section. You're going to leave me a comment and include that word. Now, this week is a little bit different. You cannot just comment the word. And the reason that I'm changing it up this week is because you guys are really clever, and I love dad jokes and I love puns, and you guys have hit me with some really good ones. So when you unscramble the word, I need you to use it in a little comical, funny way of getting across what you thought of this video, but incorporate the word into that. So it's up to you. And I'll pick 5 of the best ones, and you guys will win a free Basecamp dust mask. It's this exact mask right here. It's the one that I was just wearing when I was working at my table saw. Basecamp, awesome product. Neoprene is machine washable. You can throw this in with your laundry. The filter caps are replaceable. They basically unscrew right here. Your filter comes out. You can replace your filter. You pop your caps back on. If your caps break, you can order replacements. But this is extremely durable. They have 3 or 4 different styles. I will pop a link down below. If you have not won one, or if you don't win one this particular video, you can go to their website, use my promo code, which is right here. Enter that in the coupon section, discount code section, and you get 10% off your entire order over at Basecamp. They're a show sponsor. We're extremely grateful to Basecamp, but I would not have brought them on, and I would not give these things away for free, and I would not tell you to use my promo code on them if I didn't truly believe in this product. So great mask, great product. Unscramble the word. Be funny, be humorous, use it down in the comments. While you're there, click that thumbs up button. It looks like this, it does not look like this. Give us a thumbs up for the hard work today. And if you have not already, subscribe to our channel. Each and every week between now and Christmas, 3 more of these. We're gonna pop out at least 2 or 3 projects a week showing you how to build some Christmas ideas. And then on the weekends, which I know I missed last weekend, we do a beginners series, but I had family in and it didn't work out. So subscribe, comment, like, share my video with your friends and family. That's all I got for you. I appreciate you, as always, spending a little bit of your time with me here at New Craft Workshop, and I'll catch you guys on YouTube.